it's not surprising, but it remains shocking, doesn't it, that we can have pretty high numbers in the Western world who are openly expressing support for the Islamic Republic against the West.
Yeah, it's not just in Britain. It's happening in other countries too, other parts of the West, particularly those with liberal leftist administrations, Canada, Australia, and parts of America, New York, for example. But this has been going on, as you say, for a very long time, and it is really difficult to understand. One can only begin to understand it by acknowledging what's happened in the education system for the last half century, in which 2, 3, 4 generations of kids have grown up and become adults and have begun to teach kids who've grown up and become adults that the West is evil and racist and white and colonialist and oppressive, and that nothing it does is good, and that anything that the developing world does, which is bad, is good. It can't do anything bad, and so on and so forth. And so you have to see it through that prism before you even start. And then you have the wall-to-wall, I was going to say media narrative, but it's more than a media narrative. It's both the media in the West, backed by the entire international humanitarian establishment of international law, rooted in the United Nations, expressed through transnational courts, the International Criminal Court, International Court of Justice, and through the great NGOs. I mean, by great, I mean enormous. Oxfam, War on Want, Save the Children, Human Rights Watch, and all those people. And the whole tribe of international lawyers. For the last 2-3 decades, this entire establishment, which purports to represent peace and justice, at the heart of which is the UN, peace and justice in the world, and has come to become a kind of almost religion. It stands for conscience in the progressive classes who want to do good, and they think that everything, therefore, that this humanitarian establishment says must be right and true and good and just and moral. And that entire establishment has, for various reasons to do with the politicization of international law and all that, it has turned viciously and venomously against Israel. I mean, the United Nations has been in bed with Hamas, with the Muslim Brotherhood, an organization that not only sets out to exterminate Israel, that is fueled by venomous anti-Semitism of the most medieval and Nazi kind, and has been, caught supporting Hamas in Gaza. So many of its UNRWA people have been, have been Hamas operatives and teaching hatred and so on. Now, if you have a situation in which the kind of moral compass of the West, its conscience, is set according to evil, not good, then you have a situation which, in fact, we've been living through, in which everything is turned upside down. Good is bad and bad is good. Victim is aggressor and aggressor is victim. Justice is injustice and vice versa. And that's kind of the prism through which you have to see this madness that erupted over the war in Gaza, in fact, before the war in Gaza, on October the 7th, while Israelis were still being slaughtered in southern Israel by Hamas-led Palestinian Arabs from Gaza. You had immediately ecstatic demonstrations that Israel was about to be brought down and the West was going to be brought down as a result. So you had that madness erupting on October 7, 2023. And now, scroll on, we have a new iteration of the madness over the war in Iran. And so if you've been following this, as you and I have, aghast, with our hearts in our mouths and our spirits in our boots, looking at the destruction of the West's moral compass, you're not surprised, but it's still, as you've just said, extremely shocking.
One thing that happened on 7th of October, alongside all the things you've just mentioned there, is that the wife of the future mayor of New York, Zohran Mamdani, his wife Rama Douaji, she was liking posts that celebrated what was happening in Israel. She was giving a heart, which is what you do on Instagram. She was giving a heart to images of Hamas's invasion, the collapse of the fence, people sitting on top of an IDF tank and so on. My initial response when I saw these reports, I'm sure you've seen them as well, is that, well, maybe she didn't understand how awful it was on that day. But no, because months later, in 2024, she was liking posts that denied Hamas's sexual crimes against the women of southern Israel. I found it very difficult to communicate to people just how serious it is that the mayor of New York is married to a woman who would like, let's be honest about it, who would give a heart to the worst mass murder of Jews since the Holocaust. That's what we're talking about here. What have you made of that story? What do you think that tells us about, not only about Mamdani in New York, but I guess that new politics that is creeping up in the Western world?
Well, it's monstrous. I mean, she is monstrous. He is monstrous. He has the same views. He thinks that Israel should not exist. He has said so. He may purport to like Jews, but he only likes the kind of Jews who hate other Jews and who hate Israel and want to destroy Israel. And so he uses Jews to divide the Jewish community of New York. I'm afraid to say, many of whom voted for him, because this is another topic, maybe, but about 3/4 of American Jews are liberally and left-wingly inclined, and they voted for him in great number. Whether they're having buyer's remorse now, I'm not sure. But it is a monstrous situation. These people are monsters. They support monsters. They support people who not only slaughter, but rape and torture in a most sadistic way Israelis on October 7, 2023, and would do the same again. And it's like a psychopathy. And it's not just them. I mean, I'm looking at the faces and behavior of people in Britain and in the equivalent demonstrations in Australia, in Canada, and you see the same contorted hatred of Jews. And you think, well, what's going through their minds? Why do they hate Jews? Most of them have never met a Jew. They don't know anything about Judaism. They know nothing about the Middle East, nothing about Israel. But they have been taught that this is what passes for conscience. They observe that their entire peer group thinks this. And it's like the madness of crowds. It's the herd. You follow the herd.